You know, the offseason is fun, but the season is life. The season is here. College football is underway. NFL is just about to be. We're going to recap it all right here on the Football Takeover YouTube show. Let's go. Welcome everybody. John Harris, owner, founder, footballtakeover.com. Also, sideline reporter, football analyst for the Houston Texans, which is important because we got our game on Sunday in Baltimore against the Ravens. Oh boy, Baltimore is going to be really good. But more on that later on. We got a lot to do on this show because week one is finally in the books in college football. So we're going to break down the top 5 from the weekend. And boy, there's a new star. Well, if you followed him for a while, you knew he was a star. It's not really new. It's just he's doing it at a new place. And boy, was he incredible on Saturday in Fort Worth. That's Travis Hunter. We're going to break down what an incredible interception that he had a little bit later in our Put the Film on Bros segment. But we got to kick off the show, as we always do, with the cover three stories that we're following in the world of football as best we possibly can. And we'll start with the NFL because this will be pretty much a college show given the results from week one. So we're going to start right here. Actually, 3 and 2 are kind of the same. So I'll do 3 first, and then it kind of mirrors number 2. But number 3, Chris Jones, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL, is still not at the Chiefs facility. He wants a new contract, and he has already said, I'll wait till week 8. I'll wait till I have to come in, according to CBA. Now, I've seen this story before, and I didn't like how it ended because my buddy Dwayne Brown in 2017 did the same thing. He wanted some contract changes and adjustments, and the Texans were not unable. They were unable, I guess. I don't know how you look at it. They're unwilling to do that. So Dwayne got back in week 8, played against Seattle. The trade deadline was the next week. He played Seattle, flew back home. 2 days later, he was traded to Seattle. I don't know if this happens with Chris Jones, but boy, it really looks like we're heading in that direction for the Kansas City Chiefs, who will play a couple nights from tonight. Oh, wow. Kicking off the NFL season against the Detroit Lions. Now, number 2, the story sounds familiar. Tell me so. Brian Burns, edge rusher for Carolina Panthers, apparently has left the Panthers building and has said, I don't know if he said a whole lot, but apparently he's not happy with his contract situation either. A little difference. Chris is going to be 30. Chris Jones is going to be 30. Burns, a bit younger, and he's edge rusher. Panthers, they got a rookie. They have a team with a quarterback under a rookie contract. So you think they have some money, but I don't know. Brian Burns could be using the same leverage. We'll see if he's back and available for week 1. A lot of times with the Labor Day weekend, you have some things going on. Teams have practice. I know the Texans have practice on Monday, but then they're off Tuesday because they're getting into game week, and then they're back Wednesday. That's when the first injury report has got to come out. So we'll see how the Panthers and the Chiefs handle both those situations at 3 and 2. And then number 1, and we're going to get more into this, but number 1, Monday Night Football in college, the Duke Blue Devils. Yeah, I said Duke, D-U-K-E. The Duke Blue Devils jumped all over the Clemson Tigers, in particular in the second half. They dominated physically in the second half. Now, Clemson moved the ball at times. I'm still not happy about that offense. We'll get into that a little bit later. But props to the Duke Blue Devils. Mike Elko has done one heck of a job with that team. I mean, he took it. I mean, it was down here. And they're now probably going to be ranked in the top 25. Maybe should have been. That's a team with a lot of talent. When I was going through and doing my Harris 100 between Riley Leonard, Jalen Calhoun, Dwayne Carter. They got a lot of dudes. Oh, Graham Barton at left tackle. They got a lot of dudes in that team. So congratulations to Duke getting a win over Clemson, 28-7. Look, it's one thing to get a win. It's another thing to get a 21-point win at home opener against the number 9 team in the country. Fantastic. Good job. Good job, Duke. All right. Let's get to our top five from the weekend college football. There's so many things to choose from. I know I'm going to leave some out. And I realized after I wrote my top 5, like, man, I got a lot of ACC. But you'll see why. Because I think the ACC had the biggest games. You had North Carolina, South Carolina. You had LSU, Florida State. And you had Duke, Clemson. Well, all of those had storylines. And it started at number 5 because maybe Gene Chizik has it figured out. maybe the defensive coordinator for the North Carolina Tar Heels has it figured out. 9 sacks of Spencer Rattler. Now, North Carolina better up front. Better than they've been before. Miles Murphy up front could be a dude. Cedric Gray linebacker, love him. 9 sacks. So North Carolina's athletically more gifted up front. The other side of it is South Carolina's offensive line. Wow. Terrible. Spencer's going to be running for his life. I feel for him. The guy has been through a lot. He's put himself through a lot. I think actually it may help Spencer. It's not going to help the Gamecocks. Because if Spencer could show the poise of getting through a season where he's getting sacked 9 times 12 games, 75 sacks this year, that's an outrageous number, but 9 times 12 is 108. I don't think there'll be 9 times, but there are going to be a ton of sacks because the offensive line is not very good. So you kind of got it on both sides, but North Carolina with 9 sacks. Put it this way, this is how good 9 sacks were. North Carolina had more sacks against South Carolina than Clemson had points against Duke. Think about that for a second. More sacks against South Carolina than Clemson had points against Duke. It's pretty wild. All right, let's get to number 4. This one is going to be it's going to be tough to talk about. I'm going to keep it together and just put as much a positive spin on this because there's a ton of positive spin, and it's an incredible story. And it started, sadly, obviously, 3 Virginia Cavalier football players' lives were taken by a former Cavalier football player last November. One of the players that was shot was Mike Hollins. He ended up going to the hospital, is in critical condition. Never in your wildest dreams you think somebody gets shot and is in critical condition in November can get back on a field the following September. But that's what Mike Hollins did. And it wasn't a great day for UVA against Tennessee. UVA is not a great football team. Tony Elliott's struggling with that team. They don't and can't do anything offensively. Defensively, they're doing all they can to kind of hang in there, but that's beside the point. Mike Hollins was back on a field playing football. UVA was back on a field playing football. I can only imagine what that day was like. It wasn't at home. It was at Nissan Stadium in Nashville against Tennessee. But the fact that Mike Hollins made it back on a football field is incredible. UVA will play its first home game since the murders this coming Saturday. And I'm going to do all I can to keep it together, man. I've lived on that Charlottesville campus. I got my master's from UVA. Spent 2 summers there. Absolutely love the place, love the campus, love the people there, and hate the fact that this tragedy occurred, of course. But to see someone like Mike Hollins find his way back to the football field, to find his peace out on the football field is absolutely incredible. So props to everybody at the University of Virginia and, of course, Mike Hollins. All right, number 3, let's get to a brighter note here, but stay in the ACC. LSU Florida State was the top 10 matchup of the weekend. It was the game everybody pointed to, right? That was what everybody wanted to see. My man Peter Burns had tweeted out, and I paraphrase here, LSU's got a Hall of Fame coach. FSU doesn't. LSU's going to win this thing. Well, it didn't go quite that way because in the second half, LSU couldn't stop running water. Florida State absolutely dominated. And part of that was due to a transfer. And actually, if you think about the entire Florida State offense, Trey Benson transferred from Oregon, the running back. Jaheim Bell transferred from South Carolina. Jordan Travis was a transfer. Johnny Wilson was a transfer from Arizona State. And the guy that was the superstar was a transfer this offseason from Michigan State, Keon Coleman. 9 catches for, 122 yards and 3 touchdowns. He showed his catch and run ability, and then he showed his incredible Mike Williams-like 50-50 balls ability. He turns a 50-50 ball into a 90-10. You just throw it up there in the area, and Keon Coleman's going to get it. My comp for him was Mike Williams of the Chargers, because you just threw it up in the area, and Mike was going to go get it. That's the way Keon is. But he showed that catch and run ability on a first touchdown. Florida State blows out LSU 45-24. Blows them out. Bad weekend for Louisiana State. Bad weekend for Brian Kelly. Whoa, ugly. Man, at second half, they just wilted. They wilted. I don't know that I've seen an LSU team do that in a while, but they wilted. Brian Kelly's got a lot of work. He went in saying they were going to smash Florida State. I'm paraphrasing. Florida State players took that to heart. That is a talented team on both sides of the ball. Fabian Lovett, Tatum Bethune at linebacker. They brought in Fentrell Cypress from UVA. On the offensive side, look, I think they can run it a little bit better. But when Jordan Travis got rolling with those receivers, look out. Look out. Florida State 45, LSU 24. That's number 3. Number 2, go transfers. Yes. I've never been, I don't want to be like that, oh, back in my day, nobody transferred, you stuck it out. It's a new world we live in. And if you think that, the new world is coming, it's about to be, no. It's here. It's here. And it showed itself in 2 games in particular. The one I just mentioned, actually 3, because I didn't think about that. Florida State's entire skill group is all transfers. All of it. The entire group. And they dominated LSU. Colorado went to TCU. 85 new players. They're all transfers. All of them are transfers. They beat TCU 45-42. G.J. Kinney took over at Texas State. 50 new players. Those coaches went in and said, look, there's a new way of doing things. And we have this opportunity with the transfer portal. We got to treat this a little bit like the NFL. If you got a team that's 3-14 in the NFL, you got a few ways you can do things. You can do it through recruiting, you can do it through trades, you can do it through recruiting. You can do it through draft, you can do it through trades, you can do it through free agency, you can do it through waiver claims. Now, college football doesn't have all those, but they do have recruiting, and now they have the portal. So that's about as close as you're going to get. So if your team is not good, like Colorado's was 1-11, there's another avenue to getting your team up to speed and getting it better faster. And G.J. Kinney and Deion Sanders have done that. Now, it's one game. We'll see how it transpires over a full year. But the fact that those 2 coaches and those 2 coaching staffs are able to take a group of that many new players, get them to gel, and then upset Big 12 teams the way they did, Colorado beating TCU and Texas State beating Baylor, I know there are a lot of coaches around the country going, hey, wait a second. We got another avenue for this. We can do this. We were 2-10. Hey, I can go in there and I can go recruit some people out of transfer portal. Transfer portal has become that much more important, but it's not coming. It's not next, as Deion said. It's now. And you might be too late to the party. In fact, you watch Clemson. Clemson might be too late to the party. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But number 2, it was a transfer weekend. And number 1, I mentioned this a little bit, but I want to go into this Duke Clemson game a little bit more because Duke was a 10-point dog at home. They beat Clemson 28-7. 21-10. That's a 31-point swing. Mike Elko has gone in there and done one heck of a job with Duke. I mean, unbelievable job. And I wasn't totally sure, when you get a defensive-minded head coach, you just don't know how are things going to evolve. But he had Riley Leonard, and Riley Leonard's been special. I mean, special. No, he didn't. His percentage passing last night was not great, 17-35. But he threw for 175 yards. But the big play was the one he had in the third quarter, obviously. 3rd and 3. They're down 7-6. They've botched a few opportunities. They fumbled a punt. Jalen Calhoun trying to pick up a bouncing punt, and don't do that. And then he slips, and Clemson scores off of that. That's where Clemson got his touchdown, a short field. Get to Clemson in a second. Riley Leonard gets the ball in the second half, move on down, about 3 or 4 plays, get to the 44-yard line, it's 30-3, and they run quarterback counter. And Barrett Carter's got it beat, but he doesn't finish the tackle. Leonard breaks out, and all of a sudden after he breaks out of tackle, now it's a track meet. And Riley Leonard, I promise you Riley Leonard's in the low 4.5s at a minimum. He can fly. He got down the sidelines. He beat Nate Wiggins, the highly ranked cornerback from Clemson, in the end zone. And they go up 13-7, and I remember thinking, that might be what gets this over the top. Now, Clemson did move the ball, but fumbled inside the 5 on his own read handoff. Fumbled inside the 5. Phil Maffa got smoked by a Duke D lineman, popped out, ran it back. Duke scored a few plays later. And now you're looking over that Clemson sideline. They look just whipped. Mike Elko said in his fourth quarter interview, they've been more physical than us in the third quarter. We got to ramp it back up in the fourth quarter. And boy, did they ever. Wow. It's just Duke's first win against a top 10 team since 1989. You know who the coach was? They beat Clemson. It was Steve Spurrier, 1989. First win against a top 10 team. It was the first time since 2000 that a top 10 ranked team lost to an unranked team by 11 plus points. That's 23 years. That's what Duke did on a Monday night. Duke made the Duke Notre Dame game absolutely 1,000% must-see television. It made the Duke Florida State game 100% must-see television. And it lessened the Clemson Florida State game that much more because I don't know where Clemson's going to find offense. And I'm going to finish with that one. Watching on Sunday, DJ Uiagalelei with Oregon State, he looked like the quarterback I saw at St. John Bosco. I watched a ton of games of his at Bosco, was a big fan of Big Cinco, went to Clemson, thought he was going to do great things. And then the last 2 years, he was just mired in offense that was just gross. What am I watching? This is boring. There's nothing there. Cade Klubnik goes to Clemson. He jumps in last year in the ACC Championship. He's just playing. He's just letting it rip, doing some good things. They win the ACC Championship with Klubnik getting the MVP. They go to the bowl game, and again, nothing. But they bring in Garrett Riley. TCU's Garrett Riley. And I watch that offense all year. Explosive plays, explosive speed, all over the place. Some creative, unique things. I mean, he's Garrett Riley. He's brother Lincoln Riley. I mean, those guys, same DNA. Dabo Swinney before the game, no, it's the Clemson offense, and Garrett's just coordinating it. No, that's what I was worried about. It's exactly what I was worried about. Dabo wants them to run what they did, not what Garrett Riley can do. And then I watched, and I was worried about that. And DJU, I watched him on Sunday against Oregon State, and I just went, he looks really good once he's gotten out of Clemson Orange. He's relaxed. That offense is multiple with Oregon State. And Oregon State's got more offensive talent than Clemson does. Yeah, look at the skill players. Holy smokes. It's not even close. Clemson's got big issues. Big issues. Now, I know this story from 2011. Dabo Swinney had been the head coach for about 2 or 3 years. And at some point, someone forced him to go get Chad Morris as his offensive coordinator and let Chad put it in his offense. Now, as I've heard it, and I got this from very, very informed parties, Dabo wasn't too happy about it, but Dabo was keeping his job. Dabo had not done anything at Clemson, so at that point, wants to keep his job. He's going to let Chad Morris do what he does, right? So Chad comes in, offense takes off. Tyus Boyd, Sean Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and obviously Chad moved on. But he then turned that offense over to other coaches down the way. But now Dabo's got championships. Dabo's as strong as any coach could be in the country. But who's going to force him who's going to force Dabo Swinney to let Garrett Riley run his offense his way? It's not going to happen. And if it's not going to happen, Clemson's going to be 8-4 again. At best. At best. I think Florida State's going to totally wax them. I don't know if South Carolina could do anything, but there'll be another team or two in the ACC that's going to do it. If Duke did it, Florida State's definitely going to do it. And there'll probably be a couple others that are going to do it too. That offense is dead, gone, buried. Clemson offense needs to turn it over to the Garrett Riley offense. But Dabo has to be forced to do it. Like he was forced to go get Chad Morris. He needs to be forced to let Garrett Riley do his thing. This no longer needs to be the Clemson offense. Garrett Riley needs to put in his offense. There are going to be recruits that don't want to play in the Clemson offense. There'll be plenty that want to play in the Garrett Riley offense. And if Dabo's not going to go hit the transfer portal and he's going 4-year recruiting, those 4-year recruits are sure as heck not going to want to play in that offense for 4 years or 3. They want something exciting. They want to be in an offense kind of like Colorado's. Speaking of Colorado, let's put the film on. But we're going to put up for their defense and for one defensive player in particular. Now, this interception by Travis Hunter, and it's a great one. What's interesting about this play, you'll hear me talk about this in the clip. Colorado beat TCU with this exact same play on the first touchdown. When TCU then tried to use it, Travis Hunter and Colorado shut it down. That's props to Charles Kelly and the defensive staff over at Colorado. Let's put the film on, bro. Colorado's Travis Hunter with a massive pick against TCU. This is why it matters. You save a touchdown, then you save a touchdown again. Here's Hunter right here. Now,
Remember earlier when we talked about Colorado's first touchdown? You're going to run hard inside, run a running back on the rail. So they're running the same exact route. Kendall Briles is over there. He saw Colorado run that earlier and said, ha, you guys scored on it. Watch us score on it. Well, TCU's defense played it abhorrently. Colorado's defense plays it masterfully. So 1, 2, 3. Here are the 3 guys over here. These 3 over here. These 3 guys pass off the routes brilliantly. So as we go through here, I want you to focus on inside. He's going to take the first guy inside. When he comes inside, he's going to take the second guy inside. And then Hunter is not going to get fooled by the inside route, but he then is going to jump the rail route and pick this thing off at the goal line to again save another touchdown. Not only is this a tremendously athletic diving interception, and it saves a touchdown, but Colorado gave a clinic on how you're supposed to stop the play that Colorado beat TCU on earlier. Charles Kelly and Deion Sanders should show this play to their defense and say, when you listen and you do it like this and you do it right, great things happen. Maybe in large part because you got 12, but that's okay. I mean, that's a tremendous catch. But this is how you play this exact route. Colorado gave it clinic. I mean, look at how this is matched up. He runs with him, man, swapped him, makes the pick on the... I mean, this is brilliant. It was at this point when I realized, you know what? Maybe Deion is not just a good coach. Maybe he's a great coach. But to get all of these guys, didn't play for Colorado at all last year, to do this on this play, absolutely brilliant. Oh, yeah, Travis Hunter's pretty darn good, too. You got to love this guy. My goodness. What a play by the Colorado defense.
Man, kid's a baller. He's an absolute baller on either side of the field. It'll be interesting to see whether there are more players getting in their coach's ears like, Coach, I can play both ways. I can do what Travis Hunter did. Yeah, man, let's get some of that back in the game. Let's get some Champ Bailey, Charles Woodson back in the game, man. It'll be fun to get that going. That would be fun. But I don't know how many will do it. He did it in 100-degree heat, did 120 plays. There got to be a few guys out there that can do it. Got to be, right? Keon Coleman can play strong safety, right? I don't know. Either way, congratulations to the Buffs. Great weekend of college football, and we got more. Tomorrow's show, we'll break down the Aggies. They had a great win. We'll dive a little bit more into Riley Leonard's performance against the Clemson Tigers. We'll do all that right here on the Football Takeover YouTube show. Appreciate you guys being here. See you next time.